Hey guys, Bobby Hughes here with Heritage Pride Custom Firearms. You know, my dad, when I was little, my dad tried to give me a lesson on the difference between value and worth. And I don't know, I was probably 8 or 9 years old, maybe a little bit older. But we used to have this old aluminum pan. And, you know, it was about probably 14, 16 inches long, maybe 8 or 10 inches wide and about 6 inches deep. And the thing was all beat to heck. I mean, it was all beat up and nasty, because I remember what we used it for was anytime we changed the oil, because, you know, you can still do that on your own. You don't have to take it and get it done. Whenever we would change our oil in the vehicles, we would use that as the pan to catch the oil. So it was a lot more sturdy than the plastic ones that we have now and everything. Well, you know, it sat outside for so long and it was always nasty and everything. So one day, me and one of my buddies decided we were going to go to the scrap yard and scrap a bunch of, you know, aluminum and metal and stuff like that. Now this was, you know, years later. And so I remember the pan from when I was, you know, younger. And we had started gathering a bunch of stuff up, picking a bunch of stuff up, and decided we were going to take it to the scrapyard. We were probably 13 or 14 years old. And my best friend's older sister, she was 16 or 17. She had a truck, and so we used to recruit her to do all of our driving for us when we wanted to go somewhere and do something. So I had this pile of scrap and different stuff, and in that pile was that pan. And so my dad came out and he saw the pan there, and he just about took my head off. And I never understood why, or I didn't understand why it was such a big deal. It was just an old nasty pan. And you know, it wasn't worth anything. It was probably worth more in scrap aluminum than it was worth, you know, if you sold it. So anyway, I was having a hard time understanding what's the big deal. And so my dad began to tell me about the difference between worth and value. You know, what's that car out there is worth, you know, whatever someone will pay for it, and the value of that car is about the same. But that pan was that pan that we used, that my dad had for years and years, he got from his great uncle. And it belonged to his great uncle's dad or something. Anyway, it had been passed down, you know, he had gotten it over the time. And while the value or the worth of that pan wasn't very much, maybe a few cents on the dollar, the value of it to my dad was very great, because it had history. It meant something to him. And I think so many times today, we tend to just, you know, trade in cars every 2 or 3 years because we don't want the value to drop on it or the worth. Or if something breaks, let's just throw it away and go buy a new one. Or, you know, there's always something bigger and better. But the reason why I'm telling you this story is because this table saw here, this table saw is older than I am, no doubt. It's just a 10-inch Craftsman table saw. It's probably not worth that much. It's probably worth $150, $200 maybe to the right buyer. And right now it's not even worth that because the motor just burned up on it. But the value of this table saw to me is priceless. This belonged to my granddad, and he gave it to my dad, and then my dad passed hands back to his dad. So it was used by both sets, or by both grandparents, by both granddads or grandpas. And it was used by my dad, and then I sort of inherited it, you know, because I needed a table saw, and you know, my dad doesn't really have a necessity for one. And both of my granddads have passed away now. So while this saw may not be worth much, the value of it to me is priceless. And so the motor burned up on it. Most people would think, well, I'll just, you know, it's old. They make so much, you know, new ones now that have so many extra bells and whistles on it. I'll just scrap this because it weighs a lot. You could get, you know, a few dollars for it at the scrapyard. I'll just scrap this and use the money to go buy a brand new one. Well, I'm not going to do that because it means something to me. And plus, they just don't make them like this anymore. This thing is solid, and that's the reason why it's so heavy. So I'll buy a new motor for it, or a used motor that'll fit it or something. But the reason why I made this video is next time you have something that breaks, or next time you have something that, maybe it's just laying around and you're not thinking anything about it. Don't think about what the worth is. Think about what the value of it is. Think about where it came from. And what would it cost to fix it? Probably fractions compared to what it would cost brand new. For me to get a brand new table saw that's as stout as this one and as heavy duty as this one, I could easily spend $1,200 or $1,400. And a motor is probably going to cost me about $150. So anyway, that's all for this video. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the difference between value and worth. So let me know what you think. And oh, by the way, I'm looking for a motor. So if you know of anybody that's got a motor or somewhere where I can buy a good priced electric AC motor, leave it in the comments below. Appreciate it. Until next time, guys, get out there, shoot some guns, be safe, and most importantly, have fun. See you guys later.